Oh hey, just reading issue 1. Welcome to issue 1 Bump. Hey all, welcome back to another episode of issue 1 Bump, where we look at brand new series and engage in rampant speculation. I'm your host, Peter Eady. This week we're going to be looking at Green Lantern Lost Army and Mulan Revelations. Green Lantern Lost Army is brought to us by Cullen Bunn and artist Jesus Saiz. I was a big fan of Geoff Johns as writer for Green Lantern all the way up through Blackest Night, and I've been hesitant to get back into a Green Lantern book since. I'm glad I picked this one up though, because it's going in a direction I haven't seen it going in a while. Now, we're not following Hal Jordan, which is the major Green Lantern from Earth. No, instead we get to dive into the character that is John Stewart. You may remember him as the Green Lantern from the Justice League cartoon. I've always been curious about him since we really don't spend too much time with his backstory or character in many books. He's been shown as one of the more unimaginative Green Lanterns, and I think Bunn is trying to break away from that. The story sets out with Stewart and a small cadre of Green Lanterns, two you may recognize as Kilowog, Green Lantern trainer, and Arisia Rab, former paramour of the aforementioned Hal Jordan, fighting orange space crystals. So we're off to a good start. I like the faceless enemies in the beginning since this first issue is really about John Stewart and who he is. Stewart is a former Marine, and this book has one of the few instances that I've seen where we dive into his time as a Marine. Since the power ring takes the imagination and makes it solid, John summons guns to fight, and even a small group of Lantern-born Marines. Focusing on John and his story, Bunn is able to welcome the new reader as well as the returning reader. We're reintroduced to Krona, the Renegade Guardian, as well as former Red Lantern Guy Gardner in a way that doesn't leave too many unanswered questions, at least none that we aren't sure will be answered later on. The art is clean and crisp, exactly what you'd expect out of a major DC title. While I do get a little bored with the muscular ideal body type on every character that appears in the book, it's not out of the ordinary for the average power fantasy. Nothing art-wise is really going to blow your mind, and I feel much of the story is going to hinge on Bunn's script work as opposed to Saiz's art. Now, this isn't to be interpreted as the art is bad, just nothing new. Characters are unique and detailed, and the color work adds a lot of depth. The panel layout is very structured, with few panels ever crossing the gutters into the other panels. I would have liked to have seen more overlap and a little more fun being had, but I think the quasi-serious tone of the book just doesn't allow for it. All in all, I give this a semi-bump, somewhere between a half and 3/4 bump. I think the plot of the book will be your standard stuff, giant space battles and whatnot, so the way for this book to really impress for a real in-depth discussion of John Stewart's character. We're off to a good start, but nothing really groundbreaking. The second book we're looking at comes from our indie shelf out of Dark Horse Comics. Mulan Revelations, created by Robert Alter, script by Mark Andreyko, art by Micah Kaneshiro, and lettering by Nate Piekos. We're given a lot of information in this book, enough to the point where I can't really give a clear and succinct summary since the plot does not really develop much. This is one of my pet peeves, as I said earlier, so if I wasn't absolutely in love with the art, it's unlikely I would have talked about this book. I'm going to try and parse it out, though. We've got ancient times with Mulan fighting a horde of demons with the help of some spirit warriors. They require her for some sort of spell gets cast, and all of a sudden we're in 2125 AD with different Mulan, or same Mulan. Honestly, it's super unclear. The plot in the second half of the book has a much more Deus Ex feel to it. There's a virus going around that's infecting cybernetic implants, and since most of the world at this point has implants, it's on a pretty massive scale. This has something to do with Mulan's blood as a cure, but that's also unclear. Also, the demons are still around. Pretty eclectic to say the least. The dialogue itself is not bad at all, despite having no idea what's going on. Future Mulan is a well-rounded character. She's a trust fund baby that volunteers at a free clinic. We get to see some of the economic disparity that permeates the culture, as well as newer science fiction in general. The technology is really cool and clearly very well thought out, to sprayable skin grafts to 3D printed clothes. While I have issues with how much plot is crammed into this book, the ideas and base are solid. The art is gorgeous, just amazing. The artist forgoes traditional outlines on the characters for simply abrupt switching colors, and it gives each person a very natural look. The coloring of the book is beautiful. So much is going on in each panel, and Kaneshiro puts detail into every single scene, creating a very busy world. The spirit warriors have a very ethereal feel to them, and the heavy blacks on the demons make them very intimidating. I'm tempted to just show a few more panels to make my point. Right? Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. The page layouts are very well thought out and flow into each other with ease, leading you through the story. It doesn't stick to any one particular layout and jumps around as needed. I give this book a nudge. A solid nudge, though. I think we'll have something really cool in 5 issues when we get a better idea of what the book is about. For now, I have to say that the art carries this book, and if that's enough for you, pick it up now. If not, wait for the trade to come out. We'll have to see if Bunn can pull all these loose threads together into a coherent plot. I hope so, because I want to see more of this art. Well, that's our show for this week. Be sure to like and subscribe. Read on, friends.